Hi, I'm Ben Stevenson from JourneyToTheCloud.com here for another episode of Cloud Corner. This time we are again joined by Lou Rossi, the Vice President of Technical Solutions here at GreenPages-LogicsOne. We just had him on a couple weeks back talking about unified communications, and we have him again now. I'm up in Kittery, Maine, where it's a little dreary and overcast today, and Lou joins us via his EX90. We have the EX60 here down in Tampa, Florida, where I understand it's a little nicer down there, Lou?
Yeah, it's sunny and 100 degrees as usual. It'll be like this for another couple of months.
Absolutely. So, obviously this technology, we're actually in the CEO's office right now, so it's a great technology. Lou, you definitely find that extremely useful, being able to talk to Ron with a telepresence and whatnot for meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron, whether he likes it or not, has to look at my face every time we have our little conference calls.
Fair enough. So I think today what we'd like to talk about is there seems to be a lot going on in the data center group at Cisco. It seems like a lot of new products have been coming out, and there's just been a lot of action and buzz. So being the expert you are in Cisco, I thought it'd be good if you could walk people through some of these changes.
Yeah, well, it's actually funny. Cisco has been adding a ton of products. They started really at the Networkers event where they had literally hundreds of product announcements. Certainly the data center group was no exception. And it's really exciting time because we have so many market transitions with all of the things that we've talked about, companies obviously moving to the cloud, whether it be private, public, hybrid, whatnot. Cisco has been trying to keep up and releasing products every day.
So, if I understand correctly, there's Nexus 1000, 3000, 5000, 6000, and 7000 out right now. Those are all out?
Yeah, they've got almost all the numbers covered. Actually, they have a Nexus 2000 too, but we don't really include it because it's not a standalone switch. It's just a fabric extender for some of the other platforms. So you've got the 1000V, which of course is the virtualized Nexus switch, which is great for your first foray into SDN. And then you've got your 2000s, which I mentioned before, the fabric extenders. And then the 3000, which are brand new switches that were just recently announced, that are a very high performance switch, 250 nanosecond latency. So really, really high performance, which of course means really, really high price tag. Then you've got the 5000s, which have been out for quite some time, several years. It was really one of their first 10 gig switches. And then the 6000s, which were just recently announced in March. And those are also high performance, not quite as high as the 3000s, but very, very high density. So the 6004 can give us 384 10 gig ports. So it's the highest density of any of the switches out there right now. And then you've got the 7000, which is, of course, the monster, from all the way up to the new 7718, which is now going to have 100 gig capability.
And are there substantial price differences between these models, especially between the 3000 and 6000, where they're all fitting in kind of different ways?
Yeah, so you've got, it's interesting. In today's environment, we're doing a lot of two-layer designs. So in the past, it was typically you would have your core, distribution, and your access layers. Today, with the 10 gig model, what we're finding with a lot of our clients is that we can simplify that with a dual home 10 gig core and then access layers. So using the Catalyst 2960Ss or Catalyst 3750s, 3560Xs with 10 gig uplinks, they go into their core dual attached. So the 3000, 5000, and 6000 all have 48 port high density switches, 96 port switches in that 10 gig range. So a lot of customers have been coming to us saying, hey, which one do we buy? Because it seems like certainly the 5000 has been out for a while, but then the 6000 came out, which also had a 48 port version, and then the 3000 was just announced. So it's gotten a little confusing to our customers because they're like the 3000, 5000, or the 6000s, which one should we buy? What are the differences between them? So the 6000 is really the product that we like to lead with. It fits most of the applications that are out there today. The 6001 more specifically is is actually a 48 10 gig port switch with 4 40 gig ports. Those 4 40 gig ports can then be broken down using the QSFP Plus Octopus cables, which will give you 4 10 gig ports per port, giving us the 48 10 gig plus the additional 4 times 4, or 16 10 gig ports. So you've got 16 plus the original 48. It gives us a 64 port 10 gig switch, or 48 10 gig ports and 4 40 gig ports for those of you that might be looking to expand your SAN, integrate some 40 gig applications into your core. You can do this very, very inexpensively. The 6000 will run fully configured, will run you around $75,000 list. That's with cables and 1 year of SmartNet. So I'm really kind of throwing everything in there together. The other cool thing about the 6000 is when they introduced the 6000, they got rid of the old 5000. They didn't get rid of it, but they still have the 5000 licensing problem, where in the 5000 you would have to buy your licenses. Oh, you want to do storage protocols, you want to do the data center network manager interface. Well, that's extra. That's extra. Oh, you want to do layer 3? Well, you got to buy a layer 3 card, and then you've got to buy a layer 3 software license along with it. And by the time you added all of this up, the $26,000 list price switch all of a sudden became a $50,000 or $60,000 list price switch. So the 5000 really had a lot of licensing issues, and it became a very expensive switch very quick. The 6000 is very simple. You buy the 6000, it's around $40,000 list, and then you buy a license, and it's $17,000 list, and that includes everything. That's your data center network manager, your VM license, your VMFX, your layer 3, and your storage protocols license. Excuse me. So all of these are now included, and it's very, very easy purchase. It's simply 2 line items that go onto our quotes, and it makes it simpler for the customers, and it is very, very affordable. It is, as a matter of fact, a lot of times it will be just a couple of $1,000s more than a 5548 with a layer 3 card with the storage protocols license. So it's a very, very affordable option where we're really starting to move away from the Nexus 5000s. Now, you might be saying, well, okay, wait a minute, what about the 3000? Well, the 3000 just recently came out, and this is a very, very high-performance switch. So the 6001, to give you an example, is got a 1.28 terabyte throughput because you've got 48 plus 160 gig for your 4 40 gig ports. So you've got a total of 640 gig, essentially, that can really go into this switch all at once. And then if you want to do layer 2 or layer 3, on the 5548, it couldn't even handle the 48 ports. The layer 3 card itself was limited to 160 gig. Well, that 6000 brought that up to a line rate switch. So we were getting true line rate through our Nexus 6000. The 3000 comes out, and they've done even better. It's actually about 4 times faster, or the latency is 4 times less than the 6000. So there is a little bit of a premium that you're going to pay on the price, but if in an environment where you really need to have very, very high performance Ethernet switching, the 3000 is going to be the way to go. But in most environments, customers are going to be very pleased with the 6000, which is a very affordable switch. Also, one thing to keep in mind about the 3000, I just want to point out, the 3000 does not support the Nexus 2000 fabric extenders. It also, right now, does not support FCOE. So if you're in an FCOE environment, you definitely want to stay away from the 3000. But all in all, the 6000 is going to give you the best bang for your buck. The 5500 will be the 5548, more specifically, would be less than all of those. And then when it comes to just sheer number of ports, the 6004 really can't be beat. The 7000, which is a great product in itself, but the 6004 with those 384 10 gig ports, 7 terabytes of throughput are really, I mean, when I think back to 20 years ago what we were doing, it's really astounding.
And I think when we were talking earlier, you also mentioned that there's going to be a 7700 coming out as well down the path. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Nexus 7718 was out, and it was actually at Networkers, and truly an amazing, an 18U switch. Obviously, that's where they get the 18 from, and it's going to have 100 gig interfaces. So once again, for me, who's pretty old and been doing this way too long, I remember the dial-up days, and now we have switches out there doing 100 gig. And I had to take a picture of that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but absolutely amazing switch. So we can do quite a bit. And by the way, all of these switches all run NXOS. So those of you that have learned to work on the 5000s, it doesn't make any difference. You go to 7000, you go to 6000, you go down to 1000, the OS is still the same. So pretty cool stuff coming out from Cisco in the data center line.
Yeah, sounds like it, and obviously that was a lot of information to take in pretty quickly. So if you do have questions or comments for Lou, feel free to leave them in the comments section. You can shoot us an email at socialmedia@greenpages.com as well, and we'll make sure that Lou gets back to you with a more detailed breakdown if you need it. So Lou, thanks again for joining us. Enjoy your sunny 100-degree day while we sit here in the rain in Kittery.
Good night.
And as always, you can find us on journeytothecloud.com or follow us on @GreenPagesIT. Thanks.